Islam family. Pax at the more happy Sunday, the day of the sun. I have my laptop out here, and I can't give you the divination on Sunday. But today I came on live to talk about extractions, human trafficking alert extraction process, as well as the foreclosure process. It's no different from the human trafficking process. It's hopefully the same. On one, they are attempting to steal your family, and on the other, they're attempting to steal your home, your property, your land. One, they are trying to hypothecate and steal under fraud, deceit, and manipulation, and threat, duress, and coercion. They're trying to steal your land, and on the other one, they're trying to steal the body. But the process is similar on both processes, right? One is foreclosures, one is human trafficking alert, right? Human trafficking alert is where they are trying to hypothecate and steal the body, thinking that you are still out at sea, and the other one is trying to hypothecate and steal the property, right? They just call them two different things. And these processes are essentially the same for every violation that you deal with in any situation, all right? Frequent the www.moorishamericanconsulate.org website. www.moorishamericanconsulate.org. That website has a plethora of information, and it also has a services tab where you can, if you have not proclaimed and declared your nationality, you can do so with the documentations that are on that site, as well as obtain your national identification card, as well as establishing your trust. Those are the three things. Let me go shut the door. Hold on for a second.
Don't go over there.
Excuse me, family. I had to go shut my door. So anyway,
I don't care about TikTok.
Trevon, I'm on a Facebook Live. Can you please lower your voice? Thank you. So, I don't remember where I left off. Oh, the three essential things you need to do when you first have corrected your status. The first thing is to correct your status. Your Moorish, declaring and proclaiming your Moorish nationality. That's one. Two is obtaining your national identification card. Three is establishing your allodial private Moorish trust. So those are the three things that you do initially, right? And then you start attacking all of the fraudulent constructs and contracts that they have put you in, but you have accepted by acquiescence and making the extortion payments under threat, duress, and coercion. And what is the threat and duress coercion that they are putting on you? They're sending you fake warrants. They're sending you fake what do you call it? When they try to take you out of your domicile. I can't think of the name, what it's called, but trying to unlawfully and without status to try to kick you out of your home, right? We're going to start with the human trafficking alert process. The human trafficking alert process. Now, when they detain you for anything, the only way that they have any type of, even in a corporate capacity, right to pull you over is if you are if you're swerving on the road, or if you have injured somebody. That would be the only thing that could get that could give them any type of authority, even though they have absolutely no authority, to kind of say like what's happening, what's going on. But even in that respect, eviction. Thank you, Crystal. And realize, but we're going to get to that in a second. So when you are dealing within the highwaymen on the road, the things you have to be clear of is your status. They're going to claim ignorance. They are trained to be ignorant, belligerent, because at the end of the day, what they want is fiat. What they want is to detain you for fiat. And if you don't, if they pull you over and realize that you are outside of their jurisdiction, so now they realize that they're not getting finances from you through the illegal registration of the corporate state. They're not getting financing from you through the so-called insurance companies. They're not getting finance from you through the emissions and inspection stickers. So these are fundings that their corporate jurisdictions are not getting on a regular basis from you. So when they pull you over for no driver's license, no registration, and no insurance, they are like, okay, this individual is domiciling in our corporate jurisdiction, which only exists on paper, and we need to find some way to get finance from them. So act as if we are in the sea right now, and they have happened upon you. And even though while they're even in the sea, while they are in the sea, that they are pirates. Look at them as pirates, but they're not even pirates, because even pirates in the sea had jurisdiction. They were under the Moroccan Empire, and they're in Morocco with no jurisdiction, but claiming to have jurisdiction under a corporate ward status, which you no longer align yourself with, because you swam to shore. You swam to shore, and how do you swim to shore? By declaring and proclaiming your nationality, because at first you were lost at sea, not knowing or not belonging to any nation. Therefore, pirates or individuals human trafficking could take you and put you anywhere, in servitude, in bondage, to detain or to obstruct an individual from traveling on their ancestral land and holding them for fiat, and it is slavery. How can it be slavery? Because you are being forced to be held within a particular building for extortion. So that's kidnapping. And kidnapping is human trafficking. Because in order for it to be deemed as human trafficking, first you have to be a human, and secondly you have to be held or moved to a particular location without your free will or consent. So when you call the human trafficking hotline or you text the human trafficking hotline, you are being violated yet again by yet another corporation that can be leaned for not giving you a case number. Europeans, you have no authority here in Morocco. Your law, your codes, policies don't mean anything in Morocco. You cannot hold your corporate policies. You cannot hold your corporate ideas. You cannot hold any of those in Morocco against a Moroccan. And to do so, even in ignorance, because ignorance of the law is no excuse, will get you deported. For violating what, y'all? The Treaty of Peace and Friendship and the American Constitution. If you're in violation of any of those things based on the JOBs that you have, which is servitude, which is forced indentured servitude, which is also a form of slavery. Ignorance of the law does not give you any recourse or defense. That's even if you are a Moorish American national, undeclared, under wardship status, also violating your family members. Islam? So, what am I saying? Islam, Kimberly Von Bay, and happy born day today. I hope you're having a beautiful day. It's a beautiful Sunday, and it's a beautiful day outside. And today is the highest day of manifestation of the year. It's 11/11/11. It is 11/11/11. It is 11/11/11. It is November the 11th, 2018. Numerology. This is a very high manifesting date. And the two things that we are manifesting are nationality is the order of the day, and decolonization of the illegal immigrants is also the word of the day. Islam? So, where was I? So, human trafficking. When you do your human trafficking alert, notifications to the human trafficking, because keep this in mind, why was that act established? It was to eradicate human trafficking. How can you establish it, and what is being used to fund that establishment? You Moors, you are being used to fund that, and it needs to benefit the very people it's supposed to benefit, which is the Moorish American nationals, whether you're declared or undeclared. And if it's not, and if you're calling these individuals and they are sitting here telling you, oh, that's not what it's for, okay, you make sure you get their names and you send them a notice of intent to lien, and you lien them every day that they do not provide you with a record number. And my base is $10,000 for the employee, $1 million for the human trafficking organization that is denying you a case number, trying to say that that doesn't fit human trafficking. It absolutely fits human trafficking, because if you don't have the authority, if you don't have any lawful authority, and you are an illegal immigrant in Morocco and you are violating any laws, you are human trafficking. Period. Regardless of what your politicians say, regardless of what these so-called political individuals who you just voted for on Tuesday say. Islam? So again, when you find yourself involved in human trafficking, and when your family members are contacting the Moorish American Consulate, the Moorish National Republic Federal Government, and you are not in your proper person, that is the first thing you have to do, because you have no standing in law if you are outside of it. And to be outside of law is to be identified as a ward and not under your nationality. That is Moorish American nationality family members. So the first thing you have to do, now you have to fast track your status correction to help and assist your Moorish American family. Consul commissioning is very, very important in Morocco, because we need to have consuls in near every corporate territory in Morocco to make sure these corporations, if they are not going to stand on the Treaty of Peace and Friendship or the American Constitution or even the Declaration of Independence, they need to go home, because this is not the place for them, because they're violating all of the laws. Islam? All right. There are 3 essential documents to send for all notice of intent to lien. And we don't play after we say notice of intent to lien, we lien. Plain and simple. We lien even if we lien even if you don't let them go. Okay? Because you are violating, your organization was established through human trafficking, and it no longer needs to be doing business in the land of Morocco. So you're going to be liened for that. And the only way Moors who are subject to the corporate ward state and get liened, the only way, because you're not getting liened, it's your ward, your corporation that you are identifying as being liened. Your way of remedying that is nationality, because the debt that is owed is by the Albions. They owe the debt. They are being liened, because just like I said, they are a United States service corporation. When I say service, that means servant. Service, servant, corporation. Servant, service, corporation. Meaning, if you are not going to do your service based on the laws of the land, you are going to be liened all the way up to depopulation of the illegal immigrants, because there is no such thing as United States citizenry, and that's what Donald Trump is trying to tell you, Albions, Europeans, that you have no status here in Morocco. And we choose who we want to make Moorish subjects. And the only individuals that are going to be made Moorish subjects after all Moors are declared and proclaimed in Morocco are those who live on the 5 pillars of light: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and do not violate the Treaty of Peace and Friendship and the American Constitution and the very oaths you've pledged. Based on the Declaration of Independence, you've pledged your lives, your property, and your honor. And we will take all of those if you violate the Moors here in Morocco. So there are 3 documents that are supposed to, 3 documents, lawful commands from the Moorish National Republic Federal Government, the Moorish American Consulate, and the Moorish American Nationals. These 3 documents are essential to be accompanied by every notice of intent to lien. Now, your notice of intent to lien, the only difference is going to be human trafficking alert process or unlawful, illegal, fraudulent instrument called a foreclosure. I just made that name up, and that may be the name that's underneath the notice of intent to lien. Realize I don't want to jump from one thing to the next thing, so I'm going to stay on the extraction piece, and then I'm going to run over to the foreclosure piece, because it's nothing different from one section to the other section. Because once we declared and proclaimed our nationality, once one more proclaimed and declared their nationality, their jobs as stewards were to help facilitate the transition of power. And right now they're warring against it because they have no place to go. They don't want to be subject to you, but yet they want to have access to the land, the wealth, and the resources, while violating every oath and every constitution and every covenant and every agreement that they've made. And you'll be held to every one, every last one. So the first 3 documents that it's actually going to be ultimately 4. It's going to be 4 documents, y'all. I can't even see. I ain't even going front. It's like when I put this up, the paper blinds me. You have the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. All of these lawful documents can be found on either the Service tab. Most importantly, they can be found on the Public Notice tab of the Moorish American Consulate. And everybody can record their notifications. They're on that site. They just have to be we have to confirm nationality status. Here's how we confirm nationality status in order for you to get a Moorish American Consulate record number. That Moorish American Consulate record number lets us know that you have proclaimed and declared your nationality. You have corrected your status, and you've done that. And that's what that number is. And the number changes based on what corporate territory or a Maxim territory region you've done it with. So for me, being in Northeast, it would be MACN. MACN. So it would be Moorish American Consulate in the Northeast, and then it will be followed by 9 digits. Okay, that's why we ask for that. We give you and we send out your certification document, which is to prove you've recorded your status correction with the Moorish American Consulate, the Moorish National Republic Federal Government. Right? And I don't have a copy of that to show you, but it looks like I probably should have bought that out, but I don't have it with me, but I can go get it. I could do that. I'm going to do that real quick, so hold on for 2 seconds. It's on family. I'm sorry for leaving. I didn't think that I was going to show this. This is what my trust is in. My trust is in this big legal size document. I have the sheets laminated. The sheets are laminated, as you can see. And this is my where my declaration of trust is, where my trust document is, also where all my nationality documentation is for my family members, and every lawful order, lawful command that I've given thus far. So it has a lot of information in it, and I suggest you do it. So every time you do a new notice, every time you do anything, you put it in your binder so you have access to it, as well as have scanned copies in your record as well. So this is how I stay organized. And I'm going to show you a copy of the actual record. So here is my Moorish American Consulate record number, verifying my status correction. My nationality documents is behind it, and this is what it looks like when you get it. You'll get a PDF version of it as well. But here is a here's what it will be mailed to your mailing location when you send either through email. Well, you only need to send it through email. Status corrections if you have already declared or proclaimed your Moorish nationality. So this is what it looks like. Okay. So, when you are completing the extraction process for a loved one, that loved one has to first establish nationality. So if they haven't declared or proclaimed their Moorish nationality, that is the first thing that we establish. And for family members that are outside of here who are declared, you can speak on behalf of your family member that has been detained. But also keep this in mind: they have to stand on their square when they are challenged in those unlawful and illegal organizational structures. They have to be standing on their square, because to them, they have jurisdiction until you prove otherwise. And the proof otherwise is to state your nationality for the record. Islam? So, the extraction document. Right now I'm dealing with two particular extractions, actually more than two, but these two individuals gave me permission to share their extraction process. So right now, Nazir Tariq Jermaine Bey is being unlawfully and illegally detained in the corporate district of Racine County, Wisconsin. Yep, by Racine County. Samuel Christensen, doing business as the clerk of the circuit court of Racine County of Wisconsin, and assigns heirs and agents. So this document right here is that notice of intent to lien. It's the notice of intent to lien, and it also says human trafficking alert extraction lawful document, and then it has Moorish American national Nazir Tariq Jermaine Bey and his ex-rel, which is Jermaine Scott Clement. So yes, definitely, you definitely want to send make copies of that along with your nationality status documentation if you want, just a name declaration, not the judicial proclamation, or if you want to add more. So yes, the MAC, Moorish American Consulate record number, the your status correction, as well as if you have your national identification card, scan a copy of that. That's all going to be proof to why they are ultimately getting detained and deported for violating. It's like right now they think they're in Smooth City, but it is your declaration, it is you standing up for your rights that is going to increase those indictments, because those indictments are going to go out, and then when they go out, and these are our way of telling them, look, if you don't want an indictment, if you don't want the marshals, the military, the sheriffs, if you don't want these individuals to arrest you, you need to adhere to these commands that we're giving you when we give you notice of intent to lien. And the liens are not going to be lifted until you follow the law, the supreme laws, Islam. So this is what the notice of intent to lien looks like for the human trafficking alert extraction document. Islam, this is what it looks like. And this is like page 1 that was signed. That's page 1, that's the last page of the extraction document, right? So this is page 1 of the extraction process. Page 1 is the actual human trafficking alert notice of intent to lien. That's page 1. Page 2 to follow it is the International Writ of Removal Arrest Command. This command is for all corporations acting as if they have any lawful capacity. When you declared and proclaimed your nationality, when the Moors stood up, they were required to dissolve all of their court cases, all of their proceedings, because now they have absolutely, when the heirs step up, they as servants are required, commanded to sit down. There is no room for the negotiation about that, and you have absolutely no choice. Now, this document is the second document that is to be attached to the notice of intent to lien. So you got this, you have this. The document after that, the notice of the Moorish American Consulate. The notice of the Moorish American Consulate. Then you have the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Now, sequence of order. What came first on here? The Treaty of Peace and Friendship came first. So this is the first document. The first document is the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. The second document is the notice of the Moorish American Consulate. The third document is the arrest command, the International Writ of Removal Arrest Command. The fourth document is the notice of intent to lien, human trafficking alert, or the fraudulent mortgage document. And then what follows after that is your MAC, Moorish American Consulate record number, your name declaration, a photo ID, your nationality identification if you have it, or some picture so they have a positive ID who the Moorish American national they are detaining illegally as a ward of their state, which is unlawfully. And the reality is they don't have any states. They don't exist. That's another reality. Right? So this is the extraction piece. Now, who is the one offending you? Can you close my door? Close my door. Who is the one offending you? Who is the one offending you? The counties that you just went and voted for. The politicians that you just went and voted for. Because the police department works for all of the commissioners, all of the state reps. They work specifically for them. So you just elected your own enslaver, human trafficker. You're promoting them, you're financing them, but then when you have a violation, now you're fighting them. But just on November the 7th, you just voted for them. Moors. You just voted for them. Realize that the counties are our counties, but they have overlaid them through these corporations and have inflicted pain, because when we go to the county, we're supposed to be able to record all of our documents. And like I said, even if I was to create a policy, if that policy violated the supreme laws of the land, I too would be in violation, subject to be liened. Not necessarily liened, but to somebody to file a claim against me because I violated their laws, right? So policies, codes, processes that people establish that violate the supreme laws of the land are notwithstanding. I don't care who does it. So you're not going to sit here and put a policy over people's rights, right? So if you want to declare and proclaim your nationality on a piece of paper, on a napkin, and you write it and you sign it, that is your declaration and your proclamation. And all you got to do is take a picture of it and literally upload it on social media, and you put it on the public consumption, put it out there for the public consumption. Islam? So, who is violating you? You need to know the sequence of events. I created a document called Who, What, Where, and What. Who, what, where, how, when. And that document is your responsibility when your family members are detained, whether it's whether it's social services, whether it's highwaymen, whether it's whatever type of situation where they try to capture the body. You have to know who's doing this to you, because they have built their human trafficking ring so large that every corporation in Morocco is violating. Every last one. When they ask you for your ward card, when they ask you for Federal Reserve notes, when they try to give you a ticket for parking illegally, when they try to give you a ticket for not cutting your grass, anything, it's a violation. And everything is a violation. Moors, you're supposed to be able to go into supermarkets and get the things that you want, specifically because none of the corporations are, they're extracting your wealth and your resources and your land and not paying you a damn dime for the utilization of it, but yet stealing all of your stuff unlawfully. So again, when you contact the county, the succession is this. You send those documents, those 4 documents. What were those 4 documents? The first one was what? The first one was the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, because that superseded. And shucks, if you want to add the Declaration of Independence, add the Declaration of Independence. But the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, the International Writ of Removal Arrest Command, the Notice of Existence of the Moorish American Consulate, the Moorish National Republic Federal Government, the extraction document, those 4 documents, you're going to add your Moorish American Consulate record number along with your name declaration and your photo identification, your national identification. Those are all the information that you're going to add. If you have a case number, add the case number to add it somewhere here as an exhibit if you have one. Because on the documents, you're going to clearly see that they've denationalized you by putting you in their records as a ward. Not only did they denationalize you by putting you in as a ward when you specifically told them that you were a Moorish American national, they put black on there. Read the so-called citations that you receive. That's treasonous of its own. That's excommunication as well as possibly punishable by death. And again, they have already pledged that because they're here, one, and the only ways they can be here is based on the Treaty of Peace and Friendship and the American Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. They pledged that. Islam? They're holding you to things you've signed. Hold them to things that they've promised, signed, and sealed with blood oaths, which is their body. Right? So, once you get all of those documentations together, you are going to send them to the 4 individuals violating you. And who are the 4 individuals violating you? The clerk of courts. All right, let's talk about the county now. Y'all love the county. That's where y'all go get all to pay all your human trafficking taxes to, right? The county. And who does the county work for? I mean, who works for the county? The sheriff, even though the sheriff's not supposed to work for the county. He's just operating in that building, and his operation in that building was the oath to the American Constitution, and he's supposed to be upholding those laws. But yet, he's kicking you and evicting you from your land based on fraudulent, unlawful documents. I'm not going to foreclosures yet. I'm trying to stay right here because they're complicit in both of those things. Any thoughts on the doctrine of discovery and what the violations could be for abiding by it? The doctrines of discovery. All right. I'm just going to give a quick thing about the doctrines of discovery. Any land that is discovered and that there are no lawful ties to it and you haven't claimed it, you have quote unquote abandoned it, and they're up for doctrines of discovery. Now, when I think about the doctrines of discovery, you got to keep in mind the Moors are on the land now. Some Moors have swam to sea while other ones are still swimming in sea. And then you got the Albions that came over through Ellis Islands as indentured servants, which is a fun way of calling them a slave. And they have hypothecated land. They never discovered anything. And because there were our people on the land, and they were not Christians through their Spanish Inquisition as well as their Christian Jesus Bible thumping activities to psychoanalyze you, they claimed the land and threw you off the land and put you into servitude. But that's a long story, and we're not going to go there. We're going to stay where we at now because doctrine of discovery has ended when we woke up. Because every Moor can claim all of the North Gate. It is yours by birthright and hereditaments. It's yours. All you got to do is claim it, and already been claimed. So there is no such thing as a doctrine of discovery because the land was claimed by all Moors through your trusts, through your declarations, and your judicial proclamations. Islam? Okay, so where was I at? The counties. The sheriff is supposed to be making sure law is not violated in the county. How are they doing their job right now? They're doing a horrible job at their job, meaning if you have a position and your position requires you to do a specific thing and you violate that every day, you have dissolved that authority and you no longer have that authority. But you always give them the due process to say your job, your JOB as a servant of Morocco is to uphold the American Constitution. But how come you are removing individuals from lands that are theirs? Even though, Moors, it is also your responsibility to know what your rights are and to never acquiesce them out of fear because you lack knowledge. Knowledge is going to eradicate the fears that dwell within you, Moors. So today is 11/11/11 manifest. Those two things, nationality on the land, decolonization off the land, all the illegal immigrants going home. Those two things you manifest today, you manifest it all day. You think of it, you write it on a beautiful piece of paper in red ink, blood, if you have some available, yours, hopefully, and you put it under your pillow. And then at the end of the day, after you've been manifesting it all day, you burn it and you send it up to be executed by your ancestors as well as you, your spirit. So anyway, so where was we at? The county, right? You got the clerk's office who is processing, though they're doing their job at all there. Yep, that's true. They're not doing their job. They're violating their oaths or office. They're in breach of trust. They're in breach of authority, in breach of everything. So that's why they're a part of the notice of intent to lien. Because in that document, in the emails, because you're going to send the emails, so you have to get comfortable navigating the county websites and finding their email addresses, the individuals that work in those organizations, all of them from the secretary down to the janitor. Well, not necessarily the janitor, but he's trying to keep the place clean. But the clerk is the first line, because guess where the policy enforcer comes? As soon as he writes up his tickets, he gives it to the county clerk. And the county clerk puts it on the docket. And the so-called judge, the so-called fraudulent illegal judge, is acting like, is not even seeing the case until the date that was already picked by the clerk. The clerk picked the date. The clerk saw that it was unlawful, saw that they had no authority if they know the supreme laws of the land, and they're pushing it also. So that's why the clerk is the individual detaining your Moorish family. Because they're the one processing the paper and for it to even be on the docket, to even be scheduled. They doing that way before. Now think about it. The so-called policy enforcers have already found you guilty, and you found innocent until proven otherwise. You got to be proven. You got to be proven to have violated something. So you have to have the law that was so-called violated and proof that I committed that crime. But then you also have to have a status or authority to even file a citation. So the policy enforcer is going to the county's office where the so-called district courts are, and they are filing it. And then the clerk is taking it and putting it on the docket of the magistrate. And then because you did not put in a special appearance, you didn't put your writ of quo warranto or your notice of intent to lien automatically off the writ, but you're being detained because they thought they had authority to detain you, because prior to that, that's what they've been doing. So you see how the county that employed, subcontracted these policy enforcers to further violate you. And who the county work for? The county works under the commissioner, the state senators and the representatives. All those people you just voted for on the 7th. And didn't realize all of them work under the governor. All of them work under the governor. The governor is at the head of that, which is like the CEO of the so-called corporate state that only exists on paper. They've hypothecated all of our governmental buildings and put all of those corporate processes over top of them. So that's why they all have to be leaned. Because guess who's got to go back into those buildings and do their job? Or do they work? Because the servants now are being belligerent, therefore they have to leave. You don't decide what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. You're going to put fake parcels on people's mail, violating the supreme laws of the land because your bosses are giving you bad information. But even if a boss gives bad information, that still doesn't absolve you from violating it. So you are possibly, you're going to be lean for those violations. And I say don't start it at 10,000 per violation per day. If you're going to sit here and choose privileged slave status over your nationality, you're not going to have a privilege, and you're not going to be comfortable in that. That's for all Moors, unconscious or conscious, upholding that fraud. Because we should be leaning all of those facilities and creating them de jure. So all the Moorish American consulates should be now operating in those counties until we can get them functioning appropriately. How are we going to get them functioning appropriately? Probably fire all the Albions in there and re-educate our brothers and sisters to the supreme laws of the land. and only employ those Albions that are on love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice that repatriate to the Moroccan Empire, and then everybody else got to go? Islam? So what did I say about the extractions? Are we a little comfortable how to do it? I'm gonna write it all up, have it all in a orientation manual, you know. But I had to do these videos, so you got to get competency. So when you're going down there and you're going into your organizations that they have apothecated, you're going in as the noble. Hell, these. Okay, if you're so-called getting arrested or detained, human trafficked for delivering them, so shouldn't you probably send them via email, send them through the U.S. parcel mail, and not even go down there and make any special appearances, if that's going on? But keep in mind, we've been complacent in our subjugation, so it's going to be some uncomfortability for a little bit till these Albions get re-educated on what's really going on in Morocco and who really has authority here and who are subjects with a privilege that can be revoked at any time. So what did I say before we go on to foreclosures? Oh, and when you finally get all that documentation together, 4 copies, 1 original for your records, because that original is going to be monetized once you process the lien. It's going to be attached to the lien when you lien them. That's 3 days after you filed the initial notice of intent to lien. I say do it 3 days. Via carrier, you can send, there's a multitude of ways you can send it. Send it through the parcel, because you'll have the certified tracking that's on the top with the barcode, and you'll have the return receipt on the side. Once you put it in the mail, you've done your due diligence. So those tracking numbers are sufficient, regardless if you can see them in their system or not. They're monetizable. And you'll put those in your trusts when you establish them. Because when you open up your trust accounts, all of those things will be monetized in those trusts. And then, because right now the money is freezed until we take fiat off the land, and then it's going to be in your hands, Moors, before it's in anybody else's. Because you are the only ones right now operating in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You are the only ones operating in supreme laws of the land, because you have realigned yourself. Everybody else are the crazy ones. You are the ones that's no longer an outlaw. They're outlaws because they're outside of law. Right? So the 4 people are you mailing it to? Clerk, court's clerk, office, and it's a head. Second is who? The second is the acting magistrate or judge, and you want to add every last the names of every last so-called judge of their corporation. So say John Smith is the so-called judge. You're going to say John Smith doing business as judge of the county of the state of assigns heirs and agents. And then if there's 20 of those so-called judges, you're listing them all out in the same way. Every last one. The counties is on the top. County clerks at the top. The judges is the second, the so-called acting judges. So you got the county clerk employees first, because they're the ones processing it, putting it on the docket. The second is the administrative assistants fraudulently calling themselves judges. And then underneath there, the employees are there, all of them, because they're all listed on the website. After that, you go to the sheriff, because he's also listed there. So the sheriff is usually one elected, and then he has or she has deputies under, and then you list all of those. If you find emails, put their emails there, and you want to send all this stuff in email format first, and then put the originals in the mail the very next day. And then 3 days later, you want to be starting on your liens for that particular corporation, and list every last one of those individuals you just put no notification, because they all have a duty, right? So when you talk about the sheriff, now say the sheriff is Michael Corbin. So you say Michael Corbin doing business as the sheriff of blank county, the state of, assigns heirs and agents, right? The police department. You add the police department. This is the information that people always escape. The first line of the fraud, the first pawns in this human trafficking organization. It's the policy enforcers. It's the police departments. Okay, so if Racine County, for this particular extraction, for Nazir Tariq Jermaine Bey, he was kidnapped or human trafficked in Racine County, Wisconsin. All right. So whoever the police department of Racine County is, now you're going to the police department website. You're going to go to the police department's website, and you are going to find out who is the hierarchy. You're listing them all, family. You're not messing around with just one. You're listing every last one. Every last one. So you're going to start with the chief. But guess who the chief worked for? He worked for the sheriff. And 9 times out of 10, the chief and the sheriff are the same people, or the captain, the lieutenant. You're listing out the captains, the lieutenants, the sergeants, as well as the patrolmen. All of them. So if his name is Bucky B, doing business as patrolman of the department, the police department of Racine County of the state of, and then you start listing them all out. Every last one. Islam. All of them getting this, every last one, because the policy enforcers need to know that they're going to be a part of these liens as well, because they're working for the freaking county as corporate policy enforcers. They're policy enforcers. Now, when I say policies enforcers, what does that mean? Should they be messing with you, traveling on your own ancestral land, and then violating you, putting you in their custody, violating you? I think they need to lose some stuff. So every employee of those organizations, $10,000 every day they violate. Every hour that you're detained, they're all going to feel it. This is how you get wards to stop pushing codes over laws. And the very first way they stop pushing codes over laws is proclaiming and declaring their nationality if they're Moors, in writing that. And if they're subjects, then, proclaiming and declaring their allegiance to the Moroccan Empire and no longer violating it. Question. Sharon Tracy Gelbay, can we go back and lien them after a so-called case is over? You can lien them just for the fact that they on your land and violating you. They're on your land. You can challenge jurisdiction during, before, and even after. There is no statute of limitation on fraud at all. You lien them if they violated you last year, last month, 2 years ago. You process that. I have a whole list of stuff that I gotta do. Whole list. I can put it on here now. I ain't gonna do it. But as you're liening people, and you're once you send it out and you got the tracking and you signed it and sealed it, because you don't need us to send that out for them, but you can definitely put the Moorish National Republic federal government, because that's where you have lined, as well as the Moorish American Consulate. And there are liens that have already been placed that are on the www.moorishamericanconsulate.org that you can look for assistance, as well as we have classes. And we most likely this coming Saturday will have the next class for liens. We had 3 classes so far. Islam? Okay. So, what did I say? I said a lot. It's going to be in print form so you can follow. And if you've been writing notes, I know I would be writing notes on what you do, right? Because we command that all municipalities, all cities, all counties, all of them have all of their information published on the internet. Because we need to be able to know who you are, where you are, at all times, being in Morocco as subjects. You are commanded to have that information available. And I shouldn't have to look. And if I have to look, you're getting lean for me looking more than just going to your website and it popping up. Lean them for not being transparent and hiding. And for every patrolman that's patrolling in those corporate venues, I want every patrolman on your website with a photo. Every last one. I command it. And if you violate, your liens is on its way. So we said a lot about the extraction process. Family members, you have to realize, family members, you have to realize you have to stand on your square when you go into those places, because you're going to get your families. You're going to get your family. And you're standing on the supreme laws of the land. And if you have not proclaimed and declared your Moorish nationality, you have to start there. You can get identifications on the same website under the service tab, www.moorishamericanconsulate.org. If you haven't declared or proclaimed your status correction, you can do that also. It's usually easier to send me an email, because I'll send you the instructions as well as the lawful documentations, so you can read them, review them, ingest them, and manifest your status correction. That email address is www.moorishamerican. I'm sorry, that's a website. It's Moorish American Consulate NE@gmail.com. Moorish American Consulate NE@gmail.com. So that was the first process. Now we got foreclosures. There is absolutely nothing different from foreclosures than from extractions. Exactly the same thing. The only difference is your document is going to say notice of intent to lien, and you're going to list out those same individuals, and they all work in the county. Same people. They have particular administrative assistants acting as judges that